we move on to the next segment where I would just
very, very warm thank you to you, Dr. Sevanti. In the beginning of this, she mentioned to me that thanks for us to hire her. I would like to say that I can only say that we brought her to the place where she belongs to. It's been only
and I would also take a moment to bring the navigators here. If Mr. Sanjeev Sharma, Mr. Prabhat Sinha, Ms. Sarika from Karkinos, if you could just come up on stage, please. So we can go ahead and open the ribbon, and the program is called Sarathi. As we know, Bhagwan Shri Krishna carried us all together through the chariot in Mahabharata. The Sarathi envisions to do that, to guide our patients, to help support who we care so much about through all the tests from diagnosis to therapy, through precision-based application, and through the clinical trial availability, research-based applications. A much needed effort in India. Tata Memorial Hospital has been an epitome where this kind of navigation has happened. I feel many corporates should take this initiative, and kudos to Karkinos to have done this in the community. We intend to bring it front and center in our corporate setting. Thank you. Thank you all, and thank you for navigating me into this. Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Priya Dutt, I would request you for your kind few words.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sevanti, esteemed guests on the dais, ladies and gentlemen. It's quite overwhelming for me to be here today, especially with a room full of oncologists. It's really humbling to see this program being launched, because I represent those people who really cannot afford the kind of treatment what hospitals have to offer. Many of them, as you know, and I'm sure there are many doctors who have come from Tata Memorial Hospital, and we see the condition of the patients there. So many who can't even receive the treatment because they cannot afford it. Many abandon the treatment. So I think it's really, really important for programs like this, which can really help patients in need, patients who cannot afford. And we've been working in the field for the last 40 years, and we've seen how cancer treatment has improved tremendously. We've got the best hospitals, the best doctors. The treatment is getting better every day, but one thing remains is the cost of treatment. And I think that is something which we really have to look at. And I want to congratulate Dr. Sevanti to have thought of that. And I think this is going to be a huge step forward, especially for those patients who can come into clinical trials, can get the best treatment, and slow and steady, but I think we are going to be getting there very soon. So thank you so much for having me here and giving me this opportunity to say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you for gracing us. And now the section that everybody here is waiting for, my conversation with Mr. Sanjay Dutt. Yes, sir. That was the program. And thank you so much for all the senior delegates. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tharan. Thank you. Chetan, you have to muscle up. help. We have guests joining us online. Sanjay, it's okay. It's okay. We'll just leave it here. We'll just leave it here. It's okay. Please sit. Please sit. The reason why I'm just moving it because we are joined by two of our guests. Please sit. So we are going to be joined from the US. Mrs. Manyata Dutt is in Dubai. We have them joining in with us on Zoom. Mr. Sanjay Dutt needs no introduction. The entire room here has been waiting for him all evening. Thank you so much, Sanjay, for gracing us on this occasion. We know he's an award-winning actor. We know he is a light that many of us look up to. What we also know that he's one of the humblest human beings. It has been a true honor to serve you as your doctor. One of the things I always pull his leg on, I call him Sanju, he calls me Sevanti Ji. It's always been like that. It's so amazing. That's the degree of his humbleness. For the patients, the patient advocates who are in the room, for my colleagues, I want to bring to light what many of us already know, but would like to know from you directly. And I will begin from the beginning of your cancer journey. Sanju is also the global champion for cancer care and was appointed to be this by the were the first feelings when you were told? And how did you react to it?
Good evening, everybody, and it's such an honor to be here today to share my experience. And I just want to thank everybody sitting here and who's willing to help people who are in need, like me. I just want to say that I am a real life hero, but she is the real hero out here. You know.
That's very kind.
I mean, I do all the bashing and dancing on screen, but she does it in real life. And as your question goes, Sevanti ji, is that, you know, I was just talking to my sister and Dr. Tarang and everybody inside, is that how do I come to know that I have cancer? I mean, I didn't know about it. I mean, I had some backache and stuff like that, and I was just being treated, you know, with a hot water bottle and some painkillers. And till I just couldn't breathe, you know, one day. And I was taken to the hospital and they saw there was a lot of water in my lungs. And they did some tapping stuff. And, but the thing was that I had cancer was not broken to me in a proper way. You know, it was done in a different way where my wife was not there, my family, sisters, nobody was there, I was alone. And this guy walks up and he says, okay, you got cancer. So it hit me. I just couldn't understand it. And then my wife was at Dubai. And you know, she didn't know about it. Then Priya was told. Priya came. And she said that I think that you got cancer. So my first reaction was that, okay, I got cancer. What are you going to do about it? I mean, see, you know what happens? Your whole life reflects back on you. I mean, you know, everything just came back, and my children and my, you know, and I have a history in my family. My mom died of pancreatic cancer. My wife died of the brain cancer and everything. And it was like a shock. So the first thing I said was that let it be, I don't want any treatment. So they said, you have to be treated. I said, I can't take chemotherapy and all that stuff, so let it be. And if it's meant to be, it's meant to be, and I'm going to go. So Rakesh Roshan ji, he spoke to me. And he says, Sanjay, there's this doctor, Sevanti. she's amazing and all that, and you go and be treated by her. I said, sir, I'm not interested. He said, I'll tell you something, she's really pretty also. I said, really? I said, then I'm going. Anyway, but I went and we met Sevanti. See, I realized one thing is that I had to fight this, and I just didn't have cancer. That is it. I'm being treated for something else. And I think initially you couldn't understand, I mean, how come I'm telling you all that, right?
That's correct. That's very correct. He said, I'm going to just think I don't have cancer, and whatever it is, I'm going to beat it. That's how I'm going to take it. And I'm just sitting there staring at him, thinking, you know, how we define denial in our books. I thought, oh, he's in denial. But actually, he wasn't in denial. He had just pledged to go through this, be brave about it, and face it head on. And that's what played out through the treatment.
You know, I saw my family break down. I saw my wife breaking down. I saw my sisters broken. I saw everybody breaking around me. And I decided one night, I sat down and I told myself, I said, if I break down, if I fall sick, they are going to fall sick. You know, so I mean, I got to not fall sick. And I'm going to be so tough. I mean, what is cancer? I mean, I've fought so many battles. I'll fight this thing, whatever it is. And we went for the treatment, and there was a pipe put in my chest, I think to drain the water out. And I remember I told Sevanti, this is going to come out in 2 weeks. I told you this?
Yes, correct.
And what happened?
It did. And when he came back for the 2-weekly follow-up, I told the surgeon who had put the tube in, we are in for a challenge because he's expecting that the tube will come out. And will it? Because it was all hemorrhagic. It was bloody pleural effusion. It was bloody fluid in the lung. But 2 weeks later, the fluid had already dried out. That's where I would like to mention the angle of precision. So, Sanjay, when we were testing you, before the treatment, we sent out some tests. We sent out blood tests, we sent out tissue-based tests, and now you are one of the biggest proponents of the testing. So we found a particular test that was positive.
PDL1.
PDL1 test was positive, and you know, we drew diagrams and we drew if the PDL1 was this much, this is what the treatment will be. If the PDL1 was this much, this is what the treatment will be. But even with the biomarkers, Sanjay, and that's a confession, was overtreated. His PDL1 was very high, but still I didn't have the courage to give him only immunotherapy, which is the standard of care, and he was treated with combination chemotherapy and immunotherapy. And I would like to acknowledge that I did not cut any doses. He is a gentleman with a Caucasian build, and he was hammered with the right doses, 100% doses as per his body surface area. No corners cut. And the day of the therapy, and the next day, and the following day, and the day after, and the day after, he would continue to exercise every day, every single day. 2 hours on the treadmill, and I would get the WhatsApp of his exercises, and many of us who were involved in his care would get that. And you also went back to working almost right away. We want to hear from you how all that happened.
You know, I realized one thing is that, I mean, I didn't want to lie about the cancer, you know. You know, people kind of don't want to make it public, and they want to just not tell people, and because, you know, their work suffers, and you know, there are a lot of factors which are involved in this. But I chose to speak about it. Yeah, I mean, at the cost of my career or anything, so that I could help people who are in need, you know. And I told Sevanti ji is that, Sevanti ji, can I please go for my shooting? So she said, no, no, you can't go for your shooting now. It's just started.
Peak of COVID. Peak of COVID.
Yeah, but chemo had just started.
Oh.
I said, you have to let me go. I said, it's for my my moral boost, and it's for the people of the industry who I'm working with, that I got to go for that shoot. I convinced her and I went. And she said, what is the shoot? I said, I just have to stand there and that's it, you know. But it wasn't like that. I was put on a harness and I was hanging upside down. And
6 hours he was hanging upside down in a harness right after chemotherapy. I was told he was just going to do like a dubbing, a small shoot, something like that. But he was doing that. So one thing that he touched upon very, very quickly was one of his strongest points, and I want to bring that up front as I see I have Priya, Mrs. Priya Dutt in the crowd, and I see Mr. Paresh Ghilani, Sanju's good friend here, and Mrs. Manita Dutt as well. One of the things that he touched upon was friends and family. And second thing he touched upon was being upfront. So when he came to treatment with me and I was getting hounded by media and I wouldn't pick up my phone, I said, Sanju, how do you want me to present the story? And he said, as is. I don't want to hide anything. You can go ahead and tell what you want to, as is, as I'm going through therapy, no changing of facts. That, I think, is very courageous. That, and the fact that he never hid anything from friends and family. And you can see his family and his friend from long distance, his lifetime friend, Mr. Paresh Ghilani. Paresh, thank you so much for joining us. And Mana, thank you. A big thank you to you also for joining us.
Thank you, Doc, for having me. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me.
And Paresh, do you want to say something?
You know, Dr. Samanthi, obviously you've been a champion leading this entire effort and doing it. Obviously, and you know, when this whole thing happened, it came shock to everyone, obviously, just as it is every patient actually does when they feel told. It's the courage of the patient, which happens to be, you know, Sanju, we call him, and then it's Sanjay Dutt, and the family that comes around and then eventually leans into a caretaker who leads that, which is you, navigating the entire thing. It was a complex role, what we found out. It was COVID, midst of the COVID, don't know what to do, can't stay in the hospital, you may get infected. If you stay there, if you get out, what do you do? It was a chaos in many ways. And how it actually became together as you know, Priya stepped in immediately. Mana, unfortunately, was in Dubai. I was in the US, how it had to be collaborated, but then it was anchored around you to actually lead us to what it is. Courage of Sanju, which is always shown, you know, in many ways, to just buckle up and say, you know what, let's face this, you know, and take the bull by the horn, ride it. You led us, and we support it. And obviously, the navigation part was extremely important, and I believe how it all came together is obviously a miracle, but it was also very deliberate, you know, and a part of exploring every options that we had. You actually led the way, and then obviously the hospital at that point was full of Kokilaben and your support staffs and everybody. It was definitely an effort, which I believe that should be spread and also been learned from. Giving all the tools and access we had, obviously it was limited because of COVID, but I truly believe that what you have led, along with Sanjay's courage, we're just Priya.